Hello, Janesville, and welcome back to Park Place Views, the monthly program that aims to keep residents informed by highlighting the people, places, and partners of the City of Janesville. As always, this program is brought to you by the City of Janesville and JATV Media Services. I'm your host, Nick Faust, and I'm the assistant to the city manager in the city manager's office. Now, in last month's episode, I sat down with Dave Godek, the city's finance director. As the city worked through its annual budget process, it was very timely to have Director Godek here to help us learn more about the city's budgetary endeavors and cover all things city finance. Today, I'm looking forward to being joined by Amanda Gilbert, the city's new communications specialist. As the city's point person for strategic communications, Amanda is filling an important role, and her duties will even extend to hosting this very program. But before we hear from Amanda, a little bit more about the new communications specialist. Gilbert came to the city at the end of October, following 3 years with Big Radio. In 2023, Amanda was recognized as a Young Professional of the Year honoree by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association, and Amanda has a bachelor's degree in broadcast print and web journalism from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, where she also served as station manager for the campus radio station. Thanks for joining us today, Amanda.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Now, I did a bit of a laundry list there, but before we get started, I wanted to maybe give the viewers a chance to introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my most defining quality is that I'm a Taylor Swift fan.
Oh boy, yes.
Love everything about her.
Yes.
I have two very spoiled cats, Toothless and Mango, who I love more than anything in the world. My favorite color is blue. My favorite show is The Middle. And I'm really passionate about marine life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's some very good and well-rounded picture
Kind of
there.
frames me through and through.
Yes, it frames there. A couple of quick follow-ups for you. Toothless, does he have teeth?
Yes.
Okay, Toothless has
Toothless
teeth.
has teeth.
And favorite character from The Middle, which Heck family member are you?
I am definitely Sue.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sue. I like that. We all need a Sue Heck
Yes.
for sure, and that positivity. Awesome. Well, Amanda, as we heard in the intro, you had quite an impressive resume in the field of radio in particular. What brought you into the world of local government and municipal communications?
Yeah, I love radio. I've loved being in radio. And as fun as it is to tell someone when it's National Popsicle Day, right? It's a lot more fulfilling to give substantial information out. And the parts of radio that I'm really was passionate about is keeping the community informed. And that's what I'm really excited about this job in particular.
Yeah, it's certainly something you get to do, and you get to do quite often.
Yes.
And value that drive you have for doing it. I know, at time of taping, about a month into the new role, but put you on the spot here. What are some differences you are noticing from moving to that radio world into city communications?
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes, as you can imagine. But I would say the biggest change is that, in radio and other media forms, you're reporting on the news. The stories come out and you kind of write around it and you're like, breaking news today, we have the City of Janesville. But in this role, I'm sort of creating the news, right? We're highlighting different things going on within the city and City Hall. And I'd say that's definitely the biggest change, is being the one to put out the first round of news and stories, as opposed to, second or third reporting on it.
Yeah, and just to tangent off of that quick, Amanda, is there a way that you find yourself now in this new role approaching that idea of creating stories, of taking city happenings and putting it into different forms of communication? You feel like you're mastering that? Do you feel like it is a little different from radio because, like you said, it's not as reactionary. It's more you're that primary news source.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I would say I'm learning and I'm getting there, at the time of taping. I'm about a month in now, so I definitely am still learning and growing and getting better, I think. The biggest thing, I think, is just staying on top of what's happening, checking what meetings are coming up, what events, and then kind of trying to create news and buzz around those.
Yeah, it's a very interesting and unique role. And to remind folks at home who are hopefully familiar and they're watching on one of our mediums of communication right now. How does the city, what platforms do we use? What mediums of communication do we have?
Well, of course, we're on social media, Facebook,
yes.
Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, the top four,
Yes.
You can stay up to date on our website, always. We have a great relationship with our local media outlets, WCLO, JVL, the Gazette. You can always tune in there. And of course, you can always check out Park Place Views on JATV.
Very, very true. Timely, I like that. But encourage folks to make use of that because, as you now know very well, we put the info out there, and it is very accessible for folks. And hopefully, whatever form of communication they prefer. And obviously, Amanda, in the radio world, you have different audiences, but we as a city also have different audiences. Who are we trying to reach, and how do you approach kind of the difference from that private world to a city audience, which maybe is a little more inclusive of the entire community?
Yeah, absolutely. So the difference is huge. In radio, you're trying to bring people in so you can sell advertisements, right? In this sort of a role, you're just trying to inform people. You want them to stay up to date on what's happening with the city, Jolly Jingle, when are leaves being picked up. It's more informative. So it's less about driving people to sell and more about just highlighting all the great things that Janesville is doing.
Yeah.
Our target audience definitely leans heavy into the residents of Janesville.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a part where you're trying to reach neighboring cities, right? You want more people to think of Janesville as a place you can go and do things. And that's where highlighting different events like Jolly Jingle is huge.
Yeah, I love to hear that you're considering the resident perspective, but you're also considering that sort of destination marketing, that is how do we tell people that Janesville is a community of choice, and how do we bring them in to experience everything Wisconsin's Park Place has to offer for them. So tremendous to hear that you're thinking about that, Amanda. And one thing I'd love to also, kind of talk about your role is you serve as that point person. And speaking from experience in that role, you kind of become a jack of all trades. So, we're a full-service municipality, right? We have everything from transit to wastewater, public safety to a landfill, streets, water, certainly administration. So there are sort of all of these masters in their particular sort of field of public service, but you are kind of that one middle person that gets to tell their story and communicate. Do you have a strategy for taking information that could be technical and sort of, insider baseball and synthesize that for the community? How do you kind of wrap your head around that?
Yeah, it definitely is probably the thing I'm working on the most coming into this position, right? Radio is a very conversational position. And it's there. You had information to give, but it wasn't jargon specific, right? Coming into this role, I'm having to catch up and figure out what does this acronym mean and what are they talking about when they say this.
Right.
And so I think that's actually a positive for me as I'm learning to do this, is as I learn what it is, not knowing what some of the jargon means, I'm able to just say it how it makes sense to me, which is how the average person would interpret that information as well.
Yeah, what a beneficial viewpoint to have in that, like you said, you come from the outside when it comes to municipal jargon, very acronym heavy. So who best then to go from A to B and synthesizing that information and then understand how you yourself got there to then know the best strategy for getting other people from point A to B when it comes to that stuff. So I think that is a very, very good viewpoint to apply to communications. And I guess if I'm a resident, Amanda, how does monitoring city communications, how does, listening to the mediums of communication that you put out, how does that benefit me, and why should I want to stay connected?
Well, it's hugely beneficial. Right. One of the things social media has done for us is it's created an instant stream of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And by, as a citizen, monitoring that, you're getting the most up-to-date information you could ever receive about the city. Yeah. And it's just as important to know when Jolly Jingle is as opposed to your garbage pickup, right? And it's all right there to be viewed and consumed and informed.
Yeah. We're accessible in a way that I think we've never been before, with the advent of the information age. And also, I think that's, as I've said on this program before, one of the things that attracts me to local government is, you're already so accessible because we are community members. We're not kind of a faceless kind of government entity. And so the fact that now we can just add another layer to that with the internet makes it so beneficial to the average resident who can just go ahead and shoot you a message on Facebook at all hours of the day. Not that we would, of course, be monitoring our Facebook 24/7, but, when something arises, people do have the option to reach out, and that is incredibly important. And one way, of course, to stay in touch is weekly press releases. How does that initiative work, and how can someone sign up to receive those?
Well, it's super easy to sign up. You just go to janesvillewi.gov/email lists, and you just select what you want information on. That's also where you could sign up for winter weather releases as well.
Yeah.
So anything you could ever want to know about the city of Janesville is right there, and it can just be emailed to you. So that's all you have to do in terms of getting information sent directly to you, which is about as easy as it gets.
Yeah, and I love highlighting that because, like you said, you do a one-time lift, you put your email in, and then every week, courtesy of you, Amanda, they get news, events, all city council agendas, public hearing information and materials, RFPs, everything emailed to you easy peasy.
Yeah.
Once a week. And on the topic of press releases, I think I did hear you say winter weather emergencies. It's that time again in Wisconsin's Park Place, which means snow, ice, and all that fun. How can residents stay informed about when the city declares a winter weather emergency? Is it a press release?
So, like I said, you can sign up in the same area you sign up for press releases, but there's tons of other ways you can get that information. Always, you can check our Facebook, Twitter, all of our socials. You can call the snow hotline at 608-755-SNOW.
Yes, apt.
You can check the Janesville Police Department's Nixle page. You can check our website, and of course, you can check with the local media outlets as well.
Yeah. So tons of ways for folks to stay informed. And as always, there's a lead time when it comes to those declarations. So we make sure folks know about it before any of the parking tickets or any of that stuff comes in. And so that is good to hear. And you mentioned social media. We briefly touched about how interconnected it makes our community. But how big of a resource is social media for local governments that maybe don't have big advertising budgets or a lot of staff to get out there and talk?
Yeah, so the great thing about social media is you don't need that huge advertising budget to be able to connect with people. You can post, and it's right there in their feed. And so, like I mentioned earlier, that streamlined communication is huge, not only for us in terms of getting information out, but for people on the other end looking for that information.
Yeah, it's magnified, I think, the communication efforts, at least at a local level, like never before, and very advantageous. And again, as you mentioned when you went through all of our channels, we certainly have the platform for you, depending on what you prefer to be on, whether that's Instagram or X or LinkedIn. You mentioned that you're a Swiftie, Amanda, so I want to say you're probably pretty well tuned in to the internet, but how do you stay in touch with social media trends, and what are you seeing right now in terms of that area?
Yeah, so like every other 20-something, I am chronically online.
Yes.
So it's pretty easy for me to see trends and watch where it's going just by being a consumer of social media. the biggest thing, pictures still dominate Facebook.
Yeah.
But the largest shift I've seen recently is that people are going away from posting on their feed, and it's more about stories now.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's posting on Instagram stories. Facebook stories is starting to get there, but X has stories, Snapchat has stories, TikTok has stories, and people are posting it as opposed to making a forever post on their feed.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of a trend, and as you mentioned that in kind of this TikTok age where the content is more reels, a lot less, like you said, permanent. Gone are the days of probably very long, drawn-out Facebook posts with tons of pictures attached to them. But good to know that you're monitoring that, and certainly have faith in you as the 20-something to make sure we stay on top of the latest and greatest social media trend. But in addition, Amanda, to communicating with our residents and visitors to the community, you also speak with our state and federal partners, particularly advocating for our community as it comes to legislation and legislative priorities. What is the city's legislative program like?
Yeah, so every year we send out a legislative agenda. We're working on that right now with the different department heads to figure out what the city needs and what we should highlight to the state legislative and what we really are looking for and what maybe we could get some help in those areas. The biggest key is keeping that relationship solid, you know. So from time to time, we'll send them letters updating what's going on in the city, different thank yous for supporting our cause, you know, just keeping that relationship tight so that hopefully they can help the city of Janesville grow and develop.
Yeah, and as we've all recently seen with the governor's announcement of $15 million for the Woodman's Sports and Convention Center, having city staff members who can steward those relationships with our state and federal partners is incredibly important, and it's good to know that you are letting them know what the city needs in terms of legislation to best serve our community. And in addition to being able to learn more about the legislative program, the community can find an additional wealth of information on our website, which we talked about briefly earlier. If folks are familiar with that, they know that that site is packed with information and resources. How do you, as what I say is the webmaster, ensure that our website stays up to date? Does staff help you with that? How does that work?
Yeah, staff absolutely is a huge help. You know, different departments will always send me updates, different things they want to share on the website, so that way we're always giving the most up-to-date information. Another group that's really helpful is the website users, the people of the city of Janesville looking for information. We have those feedback tab buttons, and that goes straight to my inbox to tell me if this link is broken, if there's a spelling error. You know, the city is great, and the community is super helpful on keeping the website up to date. Yeah,
and it's a tall order, as I say, because it's 500 plus pages of everything, again, from the landfill to transit to public works, police, fire. It takes a big team to get that all sorted out, and I'm glad to hear you're kind of taking the reins and keeping that pulled together. Amanda, before we wrap up for the day, a month in, I just thought I might ask, biggest favorite thing yet of the job. What are you really enjoying so far?
The easy answer is to say making social media graphics, right? But I think my favorite actual part is just learning all of these things that I didn't know before. You know, I'll be very honest, I wasn't super in tune with local government, anything like that. And so this has been a huge learning opportunity for me to understand how cities work and all the behind the scenes functions that the average person doesn't even really see. And being able to highlight that has been the coolest thing. That is
so refreshing to hear, Amanda, and I'm so grateful that we not only have you on the program today, your program now, but we have you in the office, able and willing to apply yourself like that. That's just really really, again, refreshing to hear, and we are so grateful to have you on the team. So welcome, and welcome to what is Park Place Views, our new host. So I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank our viewers and residents for tuning in today and for all you do to help make Janesville a community of choice to realize life's opportunities. I invite you to stay connected with the city by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, signing up for emergency notifications from the JPD via the Nixle app, and signing up to receive our weekly city press releases by visiting www.janesvillewi.gov/email lists. I want to thank you for tuning in over the past 2 years with me, and I want to thank my dear friends at JATV, Alan, Tina, Booyar, for everything they have done to help me host this program over the past 2 years. I will certainly miss it. I will be back to visit, but as we've just heard, you are in very, very capable hosting hands. So for one last time, for Park Place Views in the City of Janesville, I'm Nick Faust. Thanks for tuning in, and Amanda will see you again next month.